Well, folks, apparently I'm a mediator and I'm an INFP-A. Yep, INFP-A. Just in case you're ever wondering, that's a mediator. My little brother told me to take this test. Where is this from? This personality test from a site called 16personalities.com. It's weird because I always think about this idea of how we see people in certain ways, and it's always made me laugh, this idea of looking at somebody, seeing them act in a certain way, and then thinking, well, there you go, that's who they are. It's weird because if you see someone in a certain day and they're acting a certain way, that's just such a small portion of what they're like. I mean, it's weird though, because it could also be a very obvious sign of what they're like, because in a weird way, some people do act kind of the same every day, and they're sort of like very specific in their personality traits. But then again, other people act completely different all the time. One day they're really crazy and obnoxious and wild, and another day they're very quiet, and it ranges. And this idea of what we are is very strange, because if you see, like, for example, like, let's say you're browsing YouTube videos and you see a video of some person. You see one video of them and you think, well, that's them right there. But then you might see 20 or 30 other videos and realize, oh, wow, that's a huge scope of different things going on there. Just like sometimes that's why it's not like, sometimes you'll listen to an artist, oh, have you ever heard of this person? And you listen to a song and you think, oh, okay, I get the idea. Now, the weird thing about that is that with some artists, you'll listen to one song and it's basically like you don't need to listen to anymore, because most of their songs are kind of in the same mood and same vein, the same sound, so you kind of get an idea. But with some artists, if you listen to one of their songs, that really gives you zero idea of what they're really like, because it's such a small percentage of the scope of their personality and their dynamics and what they're really doing. So that's why a lot of times these personality tests, I don't know. I mean, they might give you an idea, but I think that we can be pretty complex as human beings to the point where, I don't know how accurate a test could really be. But one thing that's always been strange to me is just how we want someone to be a certain thing. It's like, oh, I know that person, they're this. Like, you want to describe them. But the weird thing is we're not only are we different things on different days, but a lot of the times this idea of what you are, because see, like, let's say you take a personality test, right? I take a personality test and I fill it out. I'm filling it out from my perspective. But then if somebody did the personality test for me, like, let's say they did it for me and they would just answer the questions like thinking like how I am, it might be a completely different result, right? Because who you are is a very strange thing. Because there's one aspect where, like, can you ever really know who you are? Because you never really get to observe yourself. You never get to see yourself. Only other people really get to see you. It's ironic because the only person in existence that you can ever really experience is yourself, because you're never going to see yourself because you just observe from your perspective, but you don't get to see yourself. Only other people get to really see you. You don't really see yourself. So you really have no idea what you're like to other people because you never get to see yourself. So that's odd because there's this one aspect where it's like you can never really know yourself the way other people know you, right? So then which one is true? Like if you take a test, which one is true? Or which answers are true? Is it when I take it because I know myself well, or because if you take it for me? Because really, you're the only one that gets to see me. I don't get to really interact with myself, right? So which one are you, right? Let's say I go to have a coffee with somebody. I just meet this person, and I go have a coffee with them. And they're like, after we have a coffee, they go talk to one of their friends. Yeah, I had a coffee with a guy I met, Tony, and yeah, he's a really nice guy, very chilled out, easy to talk to, very thoughtful. And then the next day, I can go have coffee with another new person, and they might tell their friends, "Oh, that Tony guy is really obnoxious, loud. He's kind of a know-it-all. He's very opinionated." And so it's like, okay, well, which one am I? Because anyone who sees you, they can have a different idea of who you are. Not to mention, you might just be different on different days also. So some days you might be quieter, some days you might be loud. So it's weird because who you really are, because the irony of it, if I was the only one, because, we like to say a lot of times that I know myself. I really know myself well. Well, the only way you really know yourself is through the reflection of other people, right? It's weird because if I was the only one who existed, there's no way I could know myself, right? It would be impossible for me to know myself if I was the only one who existed. So this idea that you know yourself is a weird concept because if I was the only one who existed, I would not know if I was funny, if I was sad, if I was happy, if I was tall, if I was short, if I was loud, if I was quiet, if I was obnoxious, if I was gentle and sweet. What would I reference it to? So ultimately, all the things that you equate with who you are is relative to other people. Right? So then exactly who are you to yourself? And does it even matter? See, it's weird because you always say like, I know what I think of myself, so I don't care what other people think. But like literally, you're nothing without other people's thoughts. You have no idea what you are. That's the weird thing about that, because it's like this very empowering thought of thinking, like, I don't need people to tell me what I am, or I know myself well, I know what I am. But you know yourself compared to other people, right? That's all you're doing. You're just comparing yourself to other people. So it's weird. It's really weird who you are. Like, what exactly are you and who you are? Because if someone says you're something, like if someone says, yeah, well, Tony is this. Am I that? But who's the ultimate judge in what you are? You say, well, I am. I get to decide what I am. But you can never really know yourself, so how do you know what you are? It's only other people get to really see you. Not to mention this idea that you only know yourself through others, right? So all you are is you're comparing yourself to others. But can you ever really know yourself? Like imagine if I could live another life, and instead of being me, I was someone else, and I was friends with me, and I got to observe whoever this is from another perspective. I might have a completely different idea of me, because I've built up this image in my head of what I think I am. But like, if I had lived the life of a friend of mine who saw me from like outside of myself, their thoughts of me might be completely different than what I think of myself. Right? So which one is true? Which one is the real you? how other people observe you or how you see yourself? There's probably no ultimate answer. It's just interesting to think about, really. Right? So you get down to these personality tests, and so I don't know, it's weird because what I answer, what other people would answer for me would be different, and I don't know which perspective is more true, if there is a truer, more honest perspective. So yeah, needless to say, I haven't taken many personality tests. This was the first one I've taken, and it was mostly because my little brother asked me to take it. He was curious. But I mean, I guess there's no harm in taking it. It's interesting to see the results, but ultimately what you are and who gets to decide what you are, you or other people, it's a strange thing. And it's kind of up in the air what you really are. Yeah. Well, I really don't know how to end this video. I'm trying to think of an uplifting, positive thing to say to end this video. And that uplifting, positive thing might be that you might not ever really know who you are. Is that uplifting, or is that just kind of like, does that mess with your head? I don't know. That's the way I see it. It's hard to really know who you are. But yeah. Jeez, that was a weird ending. But I'm going to end it. All right, guys. Have a good day. Bye.